Hey there. Welcome to a deep dive into some excerpts from Carl Jung's Red Book.
Yeah, it's a journey into Jung's self-exploration and how his ideas about the human psyche developed.
You mentioned that you're interested in mythology and psychology and personal growth.
Right.
So this should be right up your alley.
Yeah, especially his concepts like individuation and the shadow and the power of the unconscious.
So this Red Book, what makes it so important?
Well, it's not your typical book. Jung was going through this intense introspection.
Oh, yeah.
It was almost like a self-induced creative illness, he called it.
Huh.
And he was writing down everything, his experiences and visions and dialogues with these figures in his mind.
So, like, we're seeing his unfiltered thoughts.
Exactly, the raw material
Yeah.
that later formed his theories.
So it was turbulent for
It was
you.
really personal.
Yeah.
And even turbulent. Yeah.
This is a good time to talk about the shadow, then.
Okay.
How does that connect to what he was going through?
Well, remember, Jung had those two personalities as a kid, no one and no one.
Uh-huh.
It's like he was already dealing with this kind of duality,
Yeah, like a tension.
right? A tension between these different parts of his personality.
Like he knew there was more to him than what people saw.
Yeah, these hidden depths that he had to explore
And the shadow.
as he was learning about mythology and religion and the unconscious.
Yeah.
This concept of the shadow emerged,
Yeah.
those dark parts of
What
ourselves.
we don't want to deal with.
Yeah, that we try to ignore.
Like a basement in your mind.
That's a great analogy.
Full of junk.
Full of junk.
Yeah.
And Jung didn't think confronting the shadow was about becoming perfect.
Right.
It was about acknowledging it to become a whole self.
Accepting those parts.
Right, instead of trying to get rid of them.
So he saw those parts as important.
He did. They could be uncomfortable, but they hold energy and potential.
Okay.
Even the wellspring of creativity.
Oh.
Yeah, those primal instincts.
So not the enemy.
Right, something to harness.
Now, World War I was happening at this time, too.
Yeah, it really shook him.
Wow.
It made him confront the darkness in humanity.
Oh, yeah.
Not just in himself, but on like a global scale.
Like his exploration was mirroring what was happening in the world.
Exactly, like this eruption of violence and chaos.
That makes sense.
And the Red Book became his way to make sense of it.
His own turmoil.
Right, his own turmoil and the shadow that was unleashed on the world.
So how did he explore these dark corners of his mind?
Well, that's where active imagination comes in.
Okay.
Instead of just watching his thoughts, he actively engaged with his unconscious.
Ah,
Almost like talking with the figures and symbols in his mind.
like lucid dreaming.
Yeah, good comparison.
Wow.
And through this, he discovered the symbols and archetypes for his work.
So it wasn't just studying, it was experiencing it.
Exactly. Through his own journey,
And the mandala.
one of the most important symbols.
Yeah.
These circular designs started appearing in his dreams and visions, representing wholeness and the self,
Okay.
like a blueprint for his psychology.
I've seen mandalas in other spiritual traditions.
Yeah, he knew about them in other cultures,
But
but he didn't want to force them on people.
interesting.
They had to emerge naturally from their unconscious,
So it was authentic.
right? A real expression of their process.
That's cool.
And that became a hallmark of his psychology.
So what did he mean by individuation?
He didn't see it as linear, but more like a spiral,
Ah,
a constant back and forth between facing your shadow and integrating the unconscious and discovering yourself.
so you discover your true self by confronting your shadow.
That's the interesting thing about Jung. He embraced paradoxes,
Yeah.
like opposite forces connecting.
So it's about embracing all of you.
Exactly, shadows and
It's
all.
not just about self-improvement.
Right, it's about connecting to something bigger than yourself.
The self.
Yeah, a blueprint for the human psyche.
Connecting us all.
Exactly. And it means confronting big questions about God and meaning.
What about Jung's view on religion?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
He questioned religious dogma.
Oh, wow.
He even said he experienced the death of God.
Was he rejecting spirituality?
It was more about moving beyond packaged beliefs,
To find a personal experience.
a direct relationship with the divine.
He was immersed in mythology.
He was, and he saw those stories as universal truths.
About the human psyche. So he reinterpreted religion through psychology.
Exactly. He was trying to understand the archetypes that connect us all.
And this exploration of the divine was personal for him.
It was deeply personal, even agonizing.
Like wrestling with a cosmic force.
Yeah.
What about dreams and visions?
He put a lot of emphasis on his own dreams.
Yeah.
He saw them as messages from the unconscious.
But did he just analyze his own dreams?
Well, he also used mythology and folklore and even his patient's dreams. He was looking for patterns across cultures and history.
Weaving it all together.
Exactly, to understand the patterns that connect us.
And he used incubation sleep.
Yeah.
What is that?
You set an intention before sleep. You ask a question or focus on an issue.
Oh, wow.
It's like planting a seed and waiting for it to grow in your dream.
To get wisdom and insight.
Exactly. And he believed it was important for individuation.
To become whole.
Right.
So dreams are a tool.
A tool for self-discovery and growth.
And anyone can use it.
Anyone, regardless of their beliefs.
Jung saw dreams as a universal language.
Yes, a way for the unconscious to talk to us.
So what are our dreams trying to say?
That's a great question. What can we learn if we just listen?
Maybe this deep dive will make you pay attention to your dreams.
And explore your own hidden depths.
I feel like I need to start a dream journal.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You never know what you'll find.
We've covered a lot today.
We have from the shadow to active imagination to individuation.
And we're just scratching the surface of Jung's Red Book.
There's so much more to explore.
Like Jung's encounters with the afterlife.
Yes, and his views on God and religion.
And the harder parts of shadow work.
Right.
There are more surprises for us.
Definitely. As we go deeper into this text.
Sounds good. Let's take a quick break and then we'll keep going.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so we talked about the shadow and active imagination.
Right.
But I want to know about his mystical side. Those encounters with figures from the afterlife.
Yeah, it does sound like fantasy.
Yeah.
But for Jung, they were real and shaped his views.
Really?
He wasn't afraid to explore those areas where the mind meets the unknown.
Like he was pushing the boundaries.
Exactly. He was going beyond what's considered normal.
Wow.
And these weren't just ghosts or beings. They were archetypes.
From the collective unconscious.
Right, those patterns of experience that go beyond culture and time.
So they were symbolic.
Yeah, they represented psychological forces.
Like Elijah and Salome.
They appear a lot in his writing. Elijah represents those spiritual impulses.
Lifting us to higher consciousness.
Right. And Salome represents our shadow desires.
The ones that can lead us to darkness.
Yeah, those primal instincts that can be both creative and destructive.
Jung didn't want to repress them, though, right?
Right. It's about finding a way to integrate them for balance.
Two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. Those forces pulling us in different directions.
These encounters weren't always easy for Jung.
No. He said he felt damned to haul these figures through a purgatory.
To make them acceptable.
Yeah, and it shows that integrating those unconscious parts can be really hard.
Like he was wrestling with himself.
With his instincts and desires.
Yeah.
And through this struggle, he starts to understand the divine in a new way.
He talked about the death of God.
Right. But it wasn't rejecting spirituality.
Okay.
It was about going beyond those old beliefs.
To find a direct experience.
Exactly, to encounter the mysteries of existence.
Like he was saying, don't accept what you're told. Go on your own quest.
Discover your own truth.
That's powerful.
And this takes him to the collective unconscious.
The pleroma.
Yes, you remember that?
Kind of. I don't really get it, though. Is it like heaven?
It's more like an ultimate reality.
Okay.
A totality of everything beyond our understanding.
So beyond what we can know.
He describes it as nothingness or fullness, where thought and being stop.
Wow.
Like the ocean vast and unknowable with calm and storm.
Okay.
The pleroma contains all possibilities, all contradictions.
It's hard to imagine.
It's like trying to grasp infinity.
Yeah.
And it's connected to Abraxas.
That Gnostic god.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a symbol of this ultimate reality.
But he's not a typical god figure, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
He's a cosmic force representing both good and evil, light and dark, male and female.
All at once.
Jung calls him this God above God
Because
he unites everything.
Okay.
Jung is saying that the divine isn't simple. It's a complex force with all parts of existence.
So God is bigger than we think?
Much bigger.
Yeah.
And this idea of paradox is key to his psychology.
Like light and shadow.
Those opposing forces are necessary for us to become whole.
To become human.
Exactly.
So we need those shadow parts.
We do. It's about integrating them for balance.
And Jung had to make sacrifices for this.
He did. He had to sacrifice his intellect and his need for control.
To embrace the unconscious.
Right. He even had a vision of a blood sacrifice for renewal.
Wow.
It suggests that real growth is painful.
Like giving something up.
Yeah, your comfort, your certainty, your old ways of seeing things.
It's about going into the unknown.
Yes, embracing uncertainty.
So we talked about the pleroma and Abraxas, but what about the red one?
Ah, yes. He's one of the most interesting figures.
And maybe scary?
Maybe a bit.
Ah.
He represents the shadow, The primal instincts that can be tempting and dangerous.
Associated with blood and sacrifice.
Yes, with those forces that can terrify and liberate us.
So is he like the devil?
He does have that quality, tempting us with those desires we try to hide.
But Jung wouldn't want to get rid of him.
No, remember, it's about facing those parts and integrating them.
So get to know him.
Learn from him, work with him.
But how do we do that? How do we confront our shadow without being overwhelmed?
That's where shadow work comes in.
And it sounds hard.
It's not easy. It means going into those dark parts of yourself.
The ones we avoid.
Facing those fears and anxieties and acknowledging the things you don't like about yourself.
Like going to the underworld.
A great analogy. Jung describes it as falling into horror.
But it's necessary.
It's a transformation for wholeness.
Like the hero going to the underworld.
To face their demons and come back changed.
Reborn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just personal. Jung sees it as essential for all humanity.
Well.
He thinks by confronting our shadows, we create a better world.
Okay, so how do we actually do this shadow work?
Dream analysis is key.
Yeah.
Jung saw dreams as messages from the unconscious.
Trying to tell us something.
And he used active imagination to engage with them.
Talking to the figures and symbols.
It's about understanding their meaning.
Not just looking at them, but feeling them.
Exactly, letting them speak to you on a deeper level.
And the meaning isn't fixed.
No. Jung thought the dreamer decides, and the meaning can evolve.
It's like a conversation.
Between the conscious and unconscious.
With a dream in the middle.
A great way to put it. It requires listening and being open to surprise.
So what are some of the symbols in dreams?
There are so many, and their meaning can change. But some common ones are the hero, the shadow, the anima animus, the wise old man-woman, the child, the trickster, and the great mother.
What do they represent?
The hero is often our conscious self. The shadow is our darker side. The anima animus are the feminine and masculine parts of us.
So we all have both.
Right. The wise old man-woman is wisdom and guidance. The child is innocence and potential. The trickster disrupts things and challenges us.
Like making us question things.
Exactly. And the great mother is the nurturing and life-giving force.
So they're all parts of us.
Different characters in our lives.
And understanding them helps us.
To understand ourselves and write our own stories.
To be in control.
Yes, to be conscious creators.
But that comes with responsibility.
It does. Jung believed that the more aware we are, the more responsible we become.
So we make choices.
And direct our energy to create the life we want.
Not just letting things happen.
Right. Actively participating.
So facing our shadows and discovering ourselves.
Leads to whole.
And to a connection with something bigger.
To the world around us and the mysteries of life. It's a journey open to everyone.
If we take the first step.
Exactly.
We've learned a lot about Jung's Red Book.
We have the shadow, active imagination, individuation, the afterlife, dreams and symbols.
It's a lot to take in.
And we've only scratched the surface.
I want to read it again.
It's full of layers.
Jung is always offering something new.
He is.
We'll have to come back to explore more of the Red Book.
And the human psyche.
I'm looking forward to it. So we've really gone deep with Jung's Red Book.
We have.
With all this shadow work and the afterlife and everything.
And he really challenged how we think about the mind.
Yeah, going beyond what's considered normal.
He was a pioneer exploring the unknown parts of ourselves.
Mapping it out for us.
Exactly.
And I'm struck by how much he valued personal experience.
Yeah, he didn't just want to make up theories.
He wanted to experience it.
He did both his own experiences and his patients too.
So not just thinking about it, but feeling it.
Right, living it.
He wanted people to find their own path.
To go on their own journey and discover their own wholeness.
Like he was saying, don't take me at my word, go see for yourself.
Exactly.
But those discoveries could be tough.
They could be. Jung went through a lot of turmoil.
Yeah.
He even doubted his sanity sometimes.
But he learned from it.
He did. He saw it as necessary for growth.
So it's not about finding some perfect state.
No. It's about embracing all of it. The mess and the complexity.
The shadows and all.
Right.
And that connects to how he saw the divine.
It does. Remember he talked about the death of God?
Yeah, but it wasn't rejecting spirituality.
It was about going beyond the simple ideas.
To find a more complex view.
Yes, a God who is both light and dark.
Yeah.
Creative and destructive.
So much bigger than we imagine.
Exactly.
And this paradox is everywhere in his work.
It is like the light and shadow in us.
Yeah.
They're both necessary for us to be whole.
Like yin and yang.
Yes. They need each other for balance.
So we don't try to get rid of the shadow.
We integrate it.
And that involves sacrifice.
It does. Jung had to let go of his intellect and his need for control.
To really understand the unconscious.
It's like he had to surrender to the mystery.
Give up what he thought he knew.
Right.
And that's scary.
It is, Jung described it as falling into darkness.
But it's also freeing,
It is. It leads to transformation and wholeness.
like going into the underworld and coming back stronger.
Exactly.
It's not easy, though.
No, but darkness isn't always bad.
Okay.
It's just a part of us
And we need it.
to become whole, to be ourselves.
So don't be afraid of the dark.
Explore it.
What will we find there?
Maybe the source of our strength and creativity and love.
Like the alchemists and the philosopher's stone.
Exactly, transforming the base matter into something precious.
So it's not about denying the shadow, but changing it.
Yes,
But this individuation, this journey sounds really hard.
it can be. It's a lifelong process,
A spiral going deeper and deeper.
and it takes commitment and a willingness to face
To
ourselves
see the truth.
and to embrace the unknown.
So not for everyone.
But Jung believed everyone has the potential.
Okay.
It's not about being like him, it's about finding your own way.
Your own expression.
Exactly.
So there's no right way.
Just what resonates with you, what connects you to your truth,
It's about trusting yourself.
your inner voice,
Yeah.
your intuition.
That can be hard in a world that wants certainty.
It can. But Jung says there's wisdom in those intuitive parts of us.
So listen to those dreams and hunches.
They might be trying to tell you something.
And pay attention to symbols.
Those patterns and images that feel meaningful.
Like the hero's journey.
A classic archetype. It's about leaving your world facing challenges and returning transformed.
It happens to all of us.
In different ways, new jobs, relationships, retreats.
It's about the journey.
And those archetypes help us understand and connect to something bigger.
The collective unconscious.
That shared pool of human experience.
It's amazing.
It is. It's what makes Jung so relevant. He's connecting our individual journeys to the whole.
And he wants us to participate.
To explore and confront and embrace the mystery.
To become more human.
Exactly.
So what's the biggest takeaway from Jung's Red Book?
For me, it's about finding your own path to wholeness.
He's not giving us rules to follow.
And no, he's saying go on your own adventure. Discover what's inside you.
That's powerful.
It is.
So what would your Red Book look like?
What a great question. What symbols and encounters and insights would fill your pages as you explore your own depths?
That's something for all of us to think about.
It is. There's no right answer. Just the unique path that unfolds when we listen to ourselves and embrace the mystery of the journey.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Carl Jung's Red Book. It's been an amazing look at the human psyche, and we hope it's inspired you to explore your own journey of self-discovery. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.